I think I was always singing and entertaining the family, but did I think I could have a career? Not until I met Smokey Robinson.
No one would ever forget Diana Ross. She has been a fixture in the entertainment industry for nearly 50 years, making an everlasting impression with her daring style choices and classic pieces. However, despite her immense success, there have been low points along the way. At the age of 80, she still doesn't seem to be the happiest person we all imagined she would be. Find out everything there is to know about her in today's video. Coming right up. Diana Ross began her extraordinary life on March 26, 1944, when she was born in Detroit, Michigan, USA. She would go on to become an acclaimed American singer and actress. Diana Ross was the middle child of Ernestine and Fred Ross Sr.'s 6 children. Her chosen name was Diane, but a bureaucratic mistake on her birth certificate became her official name, Diana. But she was always called Diana with love among the tight-knit circles of Detroit's friends and relatives. Diana and her family spent their early years together in a Baptist home. At first, the lively neighborhood next to Highland Park, Michigan, was the home of the Ross family, which included 3 brothers, Wilbert, Fred Jr., and Barbara, and 2 sisters, Barbara and Rita. Diana Ross's upbringing was a little bit star-studded because of a fascinating twist of destiny that put her in close proximity to greatness. The famous Smokey Robinson was their next-door neighbor. But tragedy struck when Diana's mother became gravely sick with TB at the tender age of 7. The tragic but essential choice was taken by Diana's parents when they were confronted with the truth of her mother's condition. Mrs. William Moten and Reverend William Moten took Diana and her brothers in as their grandkids so that their mother could get well and that they would be safe. While Reverend William Moten was pastor of the Besser Baptist Church in Besser, Alabama, the family moved there at this time. After her mother got better, Diana went back to her siblings and the busy metropolis of Detroit, armed with the resilience she had honed through life's hardships. Diana Ross defied all obstacles and began her incredible career as a performer against this dynamic urban setting, forever altering the course of music and the performing arts. In 1958, when Diana was 14 years old, her family moved to the working-class Brewster Douglas housing projects on St. Antoine Street in Detroit, which was a major life change. The family entered a new phase of their lives with this relocation, which was a major life shift. Embracing this shift, Diana's perseverance shined through despite the hurdles. Attending the illustrious Cass Technical High School, a preparatory magnet school and 4-year institution located downtown Detroit, Diana devoted herself fully to her studies. Back then, her goals were absolutely out of this world. She wanted to be a fashion designer. Diana took many classes at Cass Tech and became an expert in many fields, including millinery, fashion design, pattern making, and tailoring. She was passionate about fashion and had an insatiable appetite for knowledge, so she would spend her weekends and evenings studying modeling and cosmetology. A touching element to her story was the financial backing she received from Smokey Robinson, who generously paid for these sessions. Diana was not only an enthusiastic student, but she was also quite involved in extracurricular activities, such as swimming on her school's team. Her extraordinary future was hinted at by her boundless energy and determination. In 1960, Diana gained her first job working outside the home as a busgirl at Hudson's, a famous department store in downtown Detroit. As a testament to her strength and a watershed moment in her emerging career, this action made history by making her the first African-American busgirl at Hudson's. Diana showed her resourcefulness and entrepreneurial spirit by offering her hairstylist services to the people in her neighborhood in an effort to supplement her income. Diana Ross completed her formal education in January 1962 with a proud diploma from Cass Tech. It was at this turning point that her legendary career in show business was born, and she had no idea what incredible things were in store for her. In 1958, Diana Ross began her incredible career into the music industry, stealing the show as a member of the Stunning Primettes when she was just 15 years old. The Primes, a famous male vocal ensemble, and this fantastic sister group formed a formidable collective under the watchful eye of music manager Milton Jenkins. Paul Williams, one of the Primes, saw Diana's extraordinary skill and introduced her to the business, which was a turning point. Showcasing their genius, the Primettes, comprised of the extraordinary Diana Ross, Betty McGlown, Florence Ballard, and Mary Wilson, won a major talent contest in Windsor, Ontario in 1960. After hearing this success, Robert Bateman, president of Motown Records and a talented songwriter, was so pleased that he encouraged them to try out for a job. After making an unforgettable impression at sock hops on several occasions, Diana Ross quickly rose to fame for her breathtaking live performances. Diana Ross sought advice from William "Smokey" Robinson, her former neighbor and alleged lover, since she had her sights set on the Motown music scene. Smokey suggested the Primettes try out for him before thinking about Motown, which was a surprising turn of events. After much negotiation, the Primettes decided to let Marv Tarplin, the band's guitarist, tour with Smokey Robinson's group, The Miracles. Diana Ross saw this deal as a reasonable trade that resulted in Marv Tarplin's long-term and substantial involvement with Robinson's bands. The Primettes brought their A-game to Motown's executive suite for their audition. Berry Gordy, founder of Motown, was utterly enthralled by Diana Ross's voice, especially when she sang a spellbinding version of "There Goes My Baby." This fortuitous meeting left Gordy speechless, and he gave the group some sound advice: finish high school before committing themselves fully to Motown. In spite of this advice, the Primettes kept going to Motown's Hitsville, USA headquarters, where they would provide hand claps and backup vocals for Motown songs. During this time, Diana Ross covered a lot of ground for the group, doing everything from sewing to applying cosmetics to styling hair and designing costumes. The Primettes were granted permission to record at Hitsville Studio following Barbara Martin's succession to Betty McGlown in late 1960. An interesting phase in Diana Ross's rise to musical fame occurred when a string of early songs written by Smokey Robinson, then the VP of Motown, did not attain national acclaim, despite regional success. The songs in question were "Breathtaking Guy" and "Your Heart Belongs to Me." A watershed moment occurred in January 1961 when Berry Gordy agreed to sign the growing band, but he insisted on a name change as a condition. Among the lively Primettes, Florence Ballard showed great foresight when she chose the name Supremes, which is defined by the lack of a ETA. This brilliant choice demonstrated Ballard's aptitude with developing a distinctive character. The ever-forward-thinking Diana Ross was worried that people may mistake the new moniker for a male singing ensemble. Nevertheless, Berry Gordy formally signed the agreement on January 15, 1961, embracing the group into the Motown family under their new name, the Supremes, despite these misgivings. This was a watershed event that paved the way for an extraordinary adventure. By 1963, the group had shrunk to a trio as it continued to change and adapt after Barbara Martin's 1962 departure. As the lead vocalist, Diana Ross burst onto the scene with her incredible vocal talent, elevating the ensemble to new heights. The groundwork for an unprecedented streak of success was built during this crucial time, with the legendary 1964 release of "Where Did Our Love Go?" The Supremes not only scored their first #1 hit, but also set in motion a remarkable period of triumphs that cemented their position as music industry trailblazers. After formally changing her name from Diane, her actual birth name, to the now iconic Diana in 1965, the mesmerizing Diana Ross welcomed a major transformation. An intriguing phase in Diana's personal life began at this era, when she commenced a love connection with Motown CEO Berry Gordy. For many years, their love lives intertwined, making them a formidable duo in the music business. The birth of Diana Ross's first child, Rhonda Suzanne Silverstein, in August 1971, was a watershed point in this relationship. Robert Ellis Silverstein, the powerful music magnate and ex-husband of Diana Ross, took it upon himself to raise Rhonda Suzanne Silverstein, which is a noteworthy twist to her childhood. The family relations became a little more complicated due to this unexpected turn of events. Rhonda didn't find out that Berry Gordy was her true father until she was 13 years old, when Diana Ross decided to come clean about her biological family. Prior to this revelation, Rhonda had a warm and fuzzy relationship with Gordy, calling him Uncle BB. Diana Ross had the happiness of motherhood while she was married to Robert Ellis Silverstein. She had 2 kids throughout their time together. After the birth of Tracy Joy Silverstein, later known as the gifted Tracy Ellis Ross, in 1972, Chudney Lane Silverstein became a family member in 1975. A watershed moment occurred in 1977 when Diana Ross and Robert Ellis Silverstein decided to split up, officially ending their marriage. As a result, Ross's personal life reached a turning point, paving the way for fresh starts and adding to the fascinating story of her remarkable journey. With the publication of her first solo album in May 1970, the legendary Diana Ross began what would turn out to be an incredibly fruitful solo career. With the 1971 release of I'm Still Waiting, Diana Ross's solo abilities reached new heights. The song not only struck a chord with listeners but also became her first UK #1 single, further cementing her influence on music throughout the world. Diana Ross's first solo TV special included a spectacular collaboration with the Jackson 5, and it wowed viewers the same year. No stranger to adversity, Diana Ross made her acting debut in 1972's Lady Sings the Blues, her first feature film. A touching portrait of jazz and blues icon Billie Holiday, this film classic featured Ross at her acting best. Jazz journalist Leonard Feather praised her for her superb depiction of Billie Holiday, and she received accolades for the role despite early criticism. Ross was nominated for both an Oscar and a Golden Globe for her performance, and the film's score was a smashing hit, topping the Billboard 200 and selling 2 million copies. Showcasing her versatility and devotion to varied musical expressions, Diana Ross graced the children's album Free to Be You and Me in November 1972 with her rendition of When We Grow Up, providing a memorable performance. With the emotional ballad Touch Me in the Morning reaching #1 in the US in 1973, Ross continued her musical dominance. The duet album Diana and Marvin, which featured Marvin Gaye and Diana Ross, was also a huge hit throughout the world that year. On his way to a world tour, Ross made headlines in Japan when he was the first performer to be granted a private audience with the wife of Emperor Hirohito at the Imperial Palace. Diana Ross showcased her many abilities as the first African-American woman to co-host the Academy Awards in April 1974, breaking barriers in the process. Love Hangover, her fourth solo #1, was released the following year. The song exemplified Ross's creative range as it went from a sensual ballad to a lively dance blockbuster with ease. In 1976, Ross embarked on her immensely successful An Evening with Diana Ross tour, which made an unforgettable impression with a 2-week engagement at Broadway's Palace Theater and a television special that was nominated for an Emmy. The program showcased Ross's incredible versatility as she portrayed renowned individuals including Bessie Smith, Ethel Waters, and Josephine Baker. Her exceptional performance earned her a special Tony Award. At the height of her career in 1980, Ross released the album Diana, which featured the smash songs I'm Coming Out and Upside Down. This record reached new heights for Ross, connecting with a younger dance audience and establishing her legendary position as a musician. Parting ways with Lionel Richie for the duet ballad Endless Love in 1981 was yet another defining moment for Ross. The single was her 6th and last Billboard Hot 100 #1. Diana Ross married Norwegian shipping magnate Arne Naess Jr. in 1986, after meeting him on a personal voyage in 1985. As a result of the marriage, she became a stepmother to 3 of Naess's older children and a grandparent to 2 boys, Ross Arne and Evan Olav. The marriage persisted until the year 2000, despite many difficulties, such as Naess's adulterous affair. Having grown her family to include 7 grandkids, Diana Ross has always treasured her big and loving family. In 2009, Ross's daughter Rhonda welcomed Rafe Hawk into the world, marking the beginning of her grandparental journey and adding a precious new chapter to her remarkable legacy. In 1980, after being associated with Motown for nearly 20 years, Diana Ross began to negotiate her departure. Ross received a $250,000 severance settlement from Motown and an unbelievable offer from RCA Records, a $20 million 7-year recording deal that gave her full creative control over her albums. Before she joined them, she spoke with Berry Gordy, Motown's CEO, as to whether he could match RCA's offer. However, according to Gordy, it was impossible. Consequently, Diana Ross inked the most lucrative record contract in music history with RCA on May 20, 1981. In October 1981, Ross's debut album, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, was released by RCA. The album was commercially successful, selling over 1 million copies. Hits like Mirror, Mirror and her version of the classic hymn Why Do Fools Fall in Love were among them. Ross experimented with real estate investing after joining RCA and also started her production company, Anide Productions. Long travels, both at home and abroad, continued to be her specialty. On May 6, 1982, Diana Ross was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Her album Silk Electric, which featured Michael Jackson's, both songwriter and producer, big hit Muscles, was published after Why Do Fools Fall in Love gained popularity. Along with another top 10 hit, Ross was nominated for a Grammy for this song. The album ultimately achieved gold certification. Swept Away, Diana Ross's 1984 album, featured a duet with Julio Iglesias titled All of You. Missing You, a tribute to Marvin Gaye, was a worldwide hit and was featured on the album as well. A gold record was achieved by Swept Away in terms of sales. #1 in the UK and other countries was the lead single Chain Reaction from her 1985 album Eaten Alive, which was produced by Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees. Michael Jackson and Barry Gibb collaborated on the title single, and it was a smashing success as well. Both tracks were helped along by the music videos that went along with them. Diana was featured on We Are the World, the 1985 fundraiser album by USA for Africa. Over 20 million copies of the song were sold globally. In 1986 and 1987, she presided over the American Music Awards, which were celebrating their 13th year. Diana Ross got herself into a lot of trouble with the law after an event that happened on December 30, 2002. She was enrolled in a rehabilitation program in Tucson, Arizona, where she was getting help for substance abuse. In the midst of her rehabilitation, Ross encountered legal troubles when she was arrested for driving under the influence. Following her arrest, Diana Ross was formally culpable for her actions. The next step was a 2-day detention term near to her estate in Connecticut. Her arrest for drunk driving has legal ramifications, one of which was this punishment. In May of 2004, 2 years after Diana's recovery, she and her daughter Tracy Ellis Ross graced the cover of Essence magazine as part of the celebration of the publication's 50th anniversary. To help the victims of the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, she performed as the featured artist for a tribute to Stevie Wonder at the 2004 Billboard Music Awards Century Award on December 8. In January 2005, she was a member of the Hope TV show Tsunami Aid, which gathered money for them. Following this, on January 20, 2005, she made her debut with the MAC Icon series of cosmetics. In 2005, as a promotional single, I've Got a Crush on You by Gershwin reached number 19 on the Billboard Hot Adult Contemporary chart. The duet featured Ross and Rod Stewart, and it was part of Stewart's CD, Thanks for the Memory, The Great American Songbook, Volume 4. Furthermore, Ross and Westlife worked together on a cover of her 1991 single, When You Tell Me That You Love Me, which was a commercial triumph, reaching number 1 in Ireland and number 2 on the UK singles chart. In 2005, at Oprah Winfrey's Legends Ball weekend, which honored 25 African-American women in the fields of entertainment, art, and civil rights, Diana Ross was honored as a special guest. In subsequent weeks, ABC aired the weekend as a 1-hour special. For One and For All, The name given to Ross's broadcasted performances in Central Park was named Finest Musical Moment on Television by TV Land Awards voters in March 2006. She received the BET Awards Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007 and was honored at the Kennedy Center Honors. At the 2008 U.S. Open opening ceremony on August 28, Ross paid tribute to Billie Jean King. She was the featured artist at the 2008 Nobel Peace Prize concert in Oslo, Norway. In October 2009, the Gelredome Stadium in Arnhem, Netherlands played host to the annual Symfonica in Rosso concert series, with Ross serving as the headliner. In 2010, she embarked on the More Today Than Yesterday The Greatest Hits Tour, her first headline tour in 3 years. The nationwide reception of this tribute tour to her late friend Michael Jackson was overwhelmingly positive. In 2011, the Michigan rock and roll legends inducted Diana Ross into the Hall of Fame. In February 2012, she received her first Grammy for Lifetime Achievement and announced the nominees for Album of the Year. Past President Obama was in attendance for her December 2012 appearance at the White House-sponsored Christmas in Washington event. In 2013, she finished 2 tours, and on July 3, 2014, at the Montreal International Jazz Festival, she was presented with the Ella Fitzgerald Award for her contributions to modern jazz singing. Her son Evan Ross wrote and performed the song How to Live Alone, and in 2015, Ross made an appearance in the music video. On November 27, 2015, Motown Universal published Diana Ross Sings Songs from The Wiz, an album that was recorded in 1978. In April 2015, she began a mini-residency at the Venetian in Las Vegas entitled The Essential Diana Ross, Some Memories Never Fade. Ross co-starred with Michael Jackson, Nipsey Russell, Ted Ross, Richard Pryor, and Lena Horne in the film version of The Wiz, and the CD featured several cover versions of songs from the film. The In the Name of Love tour, which Ross began in 2013, was revived in February 2016 by Gary. On November 22, 2016, she was presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama. As of December 2016, Diana Ross was ranked by Billboard magazine as the 51st most successful dance club musician of all time. Together with her daughter, Rhonda Ross Kendrick, she stole the show at the 2017 Essence Festival in New Orleans on June 30th. While winning her Lifetime Achievement Award at the American Music Awards on November 19, 2017, Ross sang a number of her hit songs. As she sang her final song, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, she extended an invitation to her grandkids, children, and their spouses to join her on stage. She also brought her first ex-husband, Robert Ellis, Smokey Robinson, and Motown founder Berry Gordy. In December 2017, Ross promoted her first fragrance, Diamond Diana, on the Home Shopping Network. Within hours, the aroma had faded. Released at the same time as the fragrance was Diamond Diana, a CD retrospective of her songs. Its highest position on Billboard's top album sales list was 5, while on the R&B albums chart, it reached number 6. Billboard Dance Club Songs chart topper Ain't No Mountain High Enough 2017, the album's lead track, was remixed by Eric CER. In December 2018, Diana Ross was recognized by Billboard magazine as the 3rd most successful dance club performer of all time. At the 2019 Grammy Awards, which took place on February 10th, Ross was honored by the Recording Academy. Her performances included covers of Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand and The Best Years of My Life. On April 13th, her 2019 single The Boss reached number 1 on Billboard's Top Dance chart, which was remixed by Eric Cooper. May 2020 saw the release of Supertonic Mixes, Diana Ross's album, including remixes by Eric Cooper of 9 of her most popular songs. Remixes breathed fresh life into these classic tunes, allowing them to reach a whole new demographic. In July 2020, the CD and Immaculate Vinyl LP versions of Supertonic Mixes were published. May 2022 saw the release of Turn Up the Sunshine, a song that Ross had co-written with psychedelic pop band Tame Impala. Back when Minions: The Rise of Gru debuted in theaters, this music served as the lead single. The CD included updated versions of popular songs from the 1970s by artists including Brittany Howard, St. Vincent, HR, and others. Turn Up the Sunshine was a more contemporary addition to the collection. In commemoration of Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee, Diana Ross was the featured performance at the Palace's Platinum Party on June 4, 2022. She continued to amaze audiences in Cardiff Castle on June 10, 2022, when she kicked off the United Kingdom leg of her Thank You tour. The next day, on June 26th, she captivated festival-goers with an enduring performance on the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury. Many musicians and fans still talk about how much of an effect Diana Ross had. How do you feel about Diana Ross's life now, after she's been working for 80 years? Leave a comment below to tell us what you think. Much obliged for your time.